Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel, Creative Playground, where you will find interesting worksheets that you can use for your classroom. Alright, so in this video, I would like to talk about identifying less common lexis. As we all know, less common lexis or good vocabulary is very important in the exam, in the writing exam, so that the students will get better marks for their writing. Okay, so I've been thinking, what is the best way to introduce less common lexis to students? So I came up with these steps that I'm going to show you in this worksheet, and also I would like to explain to you the thinking process behind it before I talked about the step. Like, it will help you to understand the inspiration or the idea that I used for this worksheet. Okay, so when I think about how is it that the student can actively like aware that they have good vocabulary that they can use for specific questions, right? And how is it that we introduce this idea to them that they need to use this vocabulary? So I've been thinking um, where to begin, especially for students who do not have enough vocabulary, and then we would like to support them to increase or to add more vocabulary um, uh, so that it will be handy when the time comes for them to use those vocabulary. And so the first step is no the first I think the first principle, or should I call it principle, um, which is to identify the common vocabulary. So the idea is we need to find out the current level of the students vocabulary first. Where is it that they are at before we can support them to reach the next level? So they need to be aware of the vocabulary that they already have, and then from there it will help us, it will give us some ideas the kind of vocabulary that they need for that specific topic, right? And then after they have identified this new vocabulary, they need to use it as quick as they can so that they will learn this new vocabulary. And I also think that probably it will be better to introduce the students with sentences or phrases instead of just like 2 or 3 words. I mean, just new vocabulary per se. And it is important to do it with context, so it will be meaningful and it's easy for the students to and it will be, I think, quick for the students to learn the words, and then they can actually use it. Okay, so they need to identify the words that they already know, and we need to find the less common lexes for that vocabulary, and then we need to write paragraph right after that as part of the practice. Okay, so now let's go to the steps. So step number one, choose a topic and brainstorm the ideas. So why is it important that we start from a topic or from a question that they are familiar with? Is so that it will provide context for them, and the thinking will be more focused, and they will focus on specific vocabulary that they need for that specific topic, and it will prompt them to think about this vocabulary, right? Okay, now, so should you write a whole essay from the get-go? I think no, you need to start easy and break it down into smaller tasks. Okay, so there are three questions right here, as you can see, and I choose only the second one to introduce, or to let the students to focus on what are these vocabulary that they need to answer this specific question, right? Okay, now after choosing a topic, so step number two, you need to brainstorm. So this is up to you if you want to use like a thinking map, or you want to use some kind of diagrams or just a simple table like this, so that the students can see it clearly, the ideas that they have and the vocabulary that they have to express these ideas. So I think it's important for the students to discuss this orally and have it written down. Okay, now the next step from here, um, yeah. So when you look at um, the students' first ideas, like the quickest ideas that they have, that came into their mind when they do the brainstorming, it actually tells you the range of vocabulary that they have, right? So and it gives you the opportunity or the space to identify these words and suggests the less common lexis for the ideas to um, express the idea in a like uh, at a high level of vocabulary. Okay, and so that brings us to the next step, which is to identify the common vocabulary. Yeah, I already mentioned that, and then they need to step up from there. So I purposely put this label right here, level up. If you have other ideas, of course you can use it, or you want to call it new vocabulary, or you want to use less common access. But I always like to think about or use words or language, I mean vocabulary, that the students are familiar with, and they can actually understand it easily, so we don't really have to come up with some very like fancy labels for this column. Okay, and so these are the students original idea, and there's this space over here is where you can extend this to another activity. If you have like device in the classroom, or you have internet and then you want to just look this up on the internet very quickly to find out what is the less complexes, you can do that. Or probably if you can just help the students by introducing this vocabulary to them um, in your discussions, if you do not have access to the internet or devices in your classroom. All right, so probably this is like a very ideal example. It doesn't have to be like this. This is just an example. Probably you can come up with maybe simpler version of the idea, but still using some less common lexis, with which I think will also work. All right. Now the next step is to write a paragraph. So this is the part where the students will apply what they have just learned and write it in an actual paragraph, which I think is very important because it helps to like practice new skill or new knowledge as quick as they can, and this will help with the retention, right? And of course, it is not enough with just one practice. You need time and more practices to introduce more or less common lexis based on the context and based on the questions. So I think it's very difficult, important for us to choose like specific topic, and we actually provide the topic for the students, because it will help this activity of identifying the common lexis to be more focused, okay, for that specific topic. And then you just know like the group of vocabulary that the students will add to their like collections of vocabulary, and then they can use it anytime they need it. Okay, so this is an example of the ideas that we have um, after we have identified the less common lexis and write a paragraph. Now, probably it's not that easy for the students to just write a paragraph based on these new ideas that you give them, especially with this like new vocabulary. So there are a lot of other things that you can do to support this activity. Maybe use a template, maybe use a sentence starters, or probably not a paragraph, probably just like a sentence, and then let the students to elaborate on that idea to assess for us to see if the students actually understand what these new ideas with the new less common lexis mean. All right. Okay. So yes, that is the last part of this worksheet. And so I think it's very important, again, if I were to summarize this whole video, it's important for you to always have reasons or the thinking process behind what is it that you want to do for an activity, or to design a worksheet like this, for example, because it's going to help you to be clear with the purpose and how to actually achieve the objective that you have for that specific worksheet. Okay, so again, be clear with the thinking process behind it. I've just explained it to you just now, and then break it down into manageable steps, and manageable steps that that it is easy for you to explain, and it's easy for the students to do. What do you want them to do? Okay, so I think that's it. That wraps everything I want to share with you in this worksheet. So if you like this idea, please drop some comments, some feedback, or if you have any suggestion for a new worksheet for me to do, I'll be happy to do that. And click like to this video, or share it with your friends, or consider if you want to subscribe to this channel. It will help the channel to grow. And click the notification bell so you will be the first one to see the first video that I upload into this channel. So that's all for me. I'm just an everyday teacher who likes to share ideas with my fellow colleagues and friends from wherever you are. If you watch this video, good to see you. And until then, this has been Creative Playground. Thank you for watching. Bye.